Kirby Smart and Cortez Hankton have had a very eventful month of August on the recruiting trail as it relates to wide receiver recruiting. They picked up 2 commitments at wide receiver already this month and got some big news this week as 5-star wide receiver Luther Burden, one of their top targets in the entire 2022 class, a guy who took a visit to Athens in late June, decided to open up his recruitment and decommit from Oklahoma. He's a guy from Missouri. There's a lot of pressure for him to stay at home up there, and it looks like the Bulldogs are competing with the Missouri Tigers for Luther Burden, who might be the #1 wide receiver prospect in the entire country. If you've been on Dog Post, you know that he's been a top target since they offered him, and I actually interviewed him shortly after the Bulldogs offered. I believe it was in late 2019. So ever since Georgia offered, he's always told me that they've been high on his list, and now that he is an open target, basically a free agent out there right now, I do think that Georgia is a team in the mix, and sources close to his recruitment have told me that the Bulldogs are firmly in the mix, although it is still believed that Missouri is the team to beat. So some big news there with Luther Burden. They also made the top 6 for Andre Green Jr. I think if he made a top 3, the Bulldogs would have been in that list. They're in there with Clemson, Oregon, North Carolina, LSU, I think, is another one, and I forgot the other school, but I do think Georgia is in probably that top 3 for him. Long, athletic wide receiver, 4-star kid, top 100 kid in the country from Virginia. He's another guy who took an official visit to Georgia in June, so they're definitely a team to watch for him. But they have 3 commitments right now, and I think they only have room for 1 more. So you've got Luther Burden out there. You've got Andre Green Jr. out there, 2 of the best in the country. Jaden Gibson, a big possession guy from the state of Florida, another 4-star guy who can really go up and snatch the football. I think if he wants to jump on board, the Georgia staff would love to try to make that happen as well. So 3 big targets of wide receivers still out there. 3 on the board. Of course, they got 2 of them earlier this month. Cole Spear last week. About a 6'1", 185-pound kid out of Calhoun. Straight line speed type of guy. He's a 4'5", I think, 4'4", hand-timed guy. He worked out for the Georgia staff, earned an offer, and they liked him enough to accept his commitment on board. He did that last week. At the beginning of the month, Dylan Bell, a kid from Houston, Texas, 6'2", 205, so another bigger possession type of guy, but he's someone who can take a screen deep, at least all the way. He can beat defenses deep down the field. Didn't play against great competition, and I guess still doesn't in high school down there. But he's a guy who, again, like Spear, worked out personally in front of the staff. They liked him enough to not only offer him in mid-June, but take his commitment a month and a half later. So is Dylan Bell and Cole Spear those guys who were able to sign with Georgia last year and in 2019, 2018, 2017? Probably not. But in this weird kind of cycle of recruiting with COVID and everything, these coaches really have to trust their in-person evaluations. They aren't able to go watch them on Friday nights, or at least weren't last year. So a lot of these kids didn't have film from last year, depending on the state they played in. So there's not a whole lot to really go on for a lot of guys who are these out-of-state targets. So them being able to bring them on campus, that's why June was so big. We wrote all about it. We talked all about it. They were able to host some of their top targets in the month of June, and guys that they wanted to see in person and maybe extend an offer to. And that's what happened with these 2 wide receivers, Dylan Bell and Cole Spear, in June. They were able to land an offer, and then both decided to jump on board in August. So a lot going on. We talked a little bit about how this is kind of a slow year for wide receiver recruiting at Georgia. They just took 2 last year. It took 5 in the previous class. So I still think 3, maybe 4 is the number if they want to try to get to that point. But if Luther Burden wants to jump on board and they have to make room for him somehow, some way, he is probably going to take Dylan Bell's spot. If Andre Green wants to jump on board, yeah, Cole Spear, your spot is in jeopardy. That's just how it works. We see it every year. That's recruiting. They have an offer now. They're on the commit list right now, but are they able to sign in December? If Georgia can only take 3 and it's Denylon Morstead and 2 of the other 3 targets they still out there, if they want to jump on board, they're going to get, they're going to have the ability to do so. Again, they're not going to, keep bringing these guys on campus and recruiting them if, there wasn't, a way to sign them in the end, even though they still have 3 current commitments. So long way to go. There's a lot that's going to be happening. I think getting guys like Luther Bird and Andre Green. Andre Green's already taken his official visit. I believe Jaden Gibson has too. I'd have to go back and check on that. But you've got to get these guys back on campus for a game this fall. The home schedule is pretty weak, but still getting them back on campus and seeing the environment and what Sanford Stadium and the Georgia fan base has to offer is going to go a long way if they want to land these out-of-state, wide receivers that are so critical in today's era of college football. So that's where things stand right now. Of course, Oscar Delp, top tight end target. I'll be seeing him later today in his first game. He's, plays like a wide receiver. He runs routes like a wide receiver. So he's kind of a wide receiver, tight end hybrid. Dude's just a pass catcher. So wherever he's lined up, whether it's a tight end or wide receiver, the guy's going to be able to catch the ball. So I still think 3, maybe 4 wide receivers in this class, along with tight end Oscar Delp, who I believe is down to, he is down to Georgia, Clemson, Michigan, and South Carolina. I think he's going to make a decision at the end of September. So definitely a guy to watch there and a guy that Georgia really needs to have in this class. But overall, it's a solid group, and it could get a lot better down the road if they're able to land some of these out-of-state targets. But big month of August so far, big month on Dog Post as well. Make sure you go check out all the stories we have coming up. High school football's here. Recruiting is still happening. There's a lot going on. And of course, Georgia kicks off against Clemson in soon, just a couple weeks. So right now is the time to sign up for Dog Post. $2 gets you 2 months of coverage over on Dog Post. Make sure to take advantage of that offer. It's the perfect time to do so, guys. Thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next video coming up right now. I'll see you over on the website.